there. So we're going to talk about the JavaScript event loop. So when JavaScript sees your code, what it's going to do is it's going to look for all of your non-async code like this, and it's going to execute that first. So it's like, forget about everything else, just do this stuff first. And then it's going to look for your async stuff, and then it's going to do that. So what's going to happen here is we have, some chained functions. So one calls the other, and this is what starts off these functions. And then we have a regular function here. And then up here we have two different kinds of async functions. So we have a set timeout, and then we have a promise. And these behave a little differently. So what's going to happen is first, these are all going to be executed, and then this one. And then because this is a promise, this is actually going to have priority over this. So if we look in the console, like I said, we have the functions being called first. So first, second, and then the last one. And then we have the I'm another async thing. And then we have that promise, like I said, even though it's second here, it's actually called first because it's a promise. And then the timer at the very top. So what is going on, right? So, and what is the event loop? So first we have our code over here, right? What's going to happen is let's take care of this non-async stuff. So we're going to have a function call go into the call stack and then just get popped off because that's just going to call these other functions. And then we're going to pop these functions in. So first, this one was executed or called, I should say. And then this one was called. And then this one was called. But then this one returns. So we're going to pop that off. And then this gets returned. And then this gets returned. And they're called off the stack in just that way. And then last of all, we have this last function, which comes here and is popped off. And then the code says, okay, like what do we do with this async stuff? Well, actually, the code already took or did something to this. So what it did is it put it over here in the browser API. So the browser is what's doing all this async stuff, not JavaScript. So it's the browser that's responsible. So it puts it here and it just sort of lets it do its work, until it's finished. And then when it's finished doing like loading a picture or fetching an API, it's going to put it in the callback queue to throw it back into the stack so that it can go back into your JavaScript code. But two important things happen. So first, the promise is going to go into a special microtasks queue. And then this is going to go into its own queue. It's called a callback queue. So what's the difference? The microtask queue has priority over this one. So it doesn't matter how many things are in the callback queue here. This is going to go first. So first is going to go back into the call stack, be popped off, and then this one's going to go back into the call stack and be popped off. And so what is this thing doing? Well, this thing is checking like, hey, is there any function here that's being executed? If so, I need to wait because I need to have this call stack be completely empty until I can throw one of these callback queue items into it. So that's what the event loop does. It checks, it's like, hey, is this empty? If it is, yeah, put these micro tasks in, and that's it.